Are you in a basement?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, basement.
Yeah, I'm in my parents' basement,
Was that nice
Beautiful
having a
stuff.
basement when you were a kid?
So this was not my house growing up. They moved since I was here,
Uh,
but we had a sick basement when I grew up. It was huge. First of all, my bedroom was down there, and then there was also like a game room. We had a pool table, we had a foosball table. This jukebox was there, and then we had a big screen TV. It was phenomenal. All the kids came over, and we all hung out in my basement, and they kind of hung out and did cool things, and I was in the corner playing video games, but it was great.
wait.
Hmm?
They hung out and did stuff, and then you sat in the
Just kidding.
corner?
No. I was the place to go. We also had a pool.
Wow. Poor sad lower class Tony had to live this life
What?
of nothing. Jesus Christ. Oh, we had a
I
pool table and a foosball table and we had a skee ball course, a bowling alley. Jesus Christ. No wonder
dude,
you're
I
so
wish.
spoiled.
Yeah, Dan. No, I grew up well, and
No
then I
one,
fell
one
off.
no wonder
That's
you
the problem.
complain about the lack of your. My toilet isn't the right size for someone of my
Okay, Dan, my
eminence.
toilet is not the right size. If I don't fit on it, I can't use it.
Hey, watch it with Dan and Tony. Hey, watch it with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Happy New Year! It's the
Happy New
incredible
Year!
2022 Hate Watching with Dan and Tony Incredible Show. All new format for one night only.
All new format for 1 hour and then never again.
Well, maybe we'll do it again next year.
Oh, maybe it took a while for me to get all these stats together, though. Dan, maybe we should hire an intern for that.
Tony's got the stats, and I'm calling this show, These Are a Few of Our Favorite Things.
These are a few of our favorite things.
Because I said to my wife, I'm like, oh yeah, Tony and I each picked out 3 of our favorite movies. And she's like, which ones did you pick? And I told her the 3 movies. And then she's like, those aren't your favorite movies. You can't say that those are your favorite movies because those aren't your favorite movies. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in her defense, I agree because not one of them is my favorite movie, but 2 of them, well, no. Okay, so just one of them is not my favorite movie, I guess, because Fired Up, we'll get to it. They're not exactly our favorite movies. Mine are the movies that shaped my sense of humor.
Sure.
That's the way I was looking at it.
I just picked 3 movies that I've really enjoyed in the recent, I think all of them are, more recent movies that I've seen.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, they've all probably been movies I've seen in the past year or so, 2 years at the most. And yeah, they're all movies that just really
since we've been doing this.
Yeah, since we've been doing this and hit my sensibilities really well. Yeah, and I mean, it's like, yeah, I could talk about movies to the beginning of time, The Man Who Came to Dinner, which is based on a play, which is like a 30s, 40s movie. I love that movie. Just watched it the other day. Loved it.
If anyone was confused, yes, Dan is old. That's
I'm
what I just learned
old.
from that.
Very, very old. I was there at the birth of cinema. I was there.
That's great. That's beautiful.
I was assistant director on Citizen Kane.
You don't get any credit. Unbelievable.
Assistant director.
God.
Nobody wants to ask me about my time on Citizen Kane. But yeah, Citizen Kane. You could talk about Citizen Kane for 2 hours. It's freaking Citizen Kane. Tony's never seen
it. No, I've seen. You have to watch it in film school. No matter where you go, they're like, "This is the best film." Oh my God, what a boring movie! Interesting ideas every once in a while, sure, but overall, not a good movie, guys. Don't watch it.
Yeah, I could. And that's probably a lot of this show is going to be me explaining to Tony how he's wrong about what he likes and what I like is the correct things to like.
And I'll do the same to you, except for in the case of Eurovision. I love that movie.
So we each picked 3 movies that we're going to talk about, and we're going to just talk about movies. And then Tony also has collated some stats.
Yeah, it's some things that I find interesting that nobody will care about. But since there's only 10 people to watch the show, I don't give a shit.
Tony, don't give shit.
That's right. You have to do what I want to do.
So the three movies I picked, let me get to my chart here, were Eurovision,
Yay.
the story of Fire Saga from 2020,
Okay, I'll just do this.
2 hours
These,
and 3 minutes.
these are my ratings.
Hunt for the Wilder People, 2016, hour and 41 minutes.
Yeah.
And then my third thing is kind of a combination of two things. It's the films of Stephen Chow, which is Journey to the West from 2014 and Kung Fu Hustle from 2005. You don't like Stephen Chow?
I like Kung Fu Hustle. I
Yeah,
did not enjoy Journey to the West. I
nice.
don't know. I don't know.
I actually
I
have
mean, I
not finished Journey
have
to the
ideas.
West. I've watched the
Okay.
first half of it, but the like I mostly I want to talk about like the first couple set pieces of that movie because it gets really weird once we get
It
to the
gets
monkey
weird
guy.
really fast, Dan. I don't know. Like
Well,
I felt like it starts weird and then gets weirder. That's
well
the thing.
let's talk about Journey to the
Okay,
West.
we'll start there. I love
We're
this.
gonna
Right.
start with Stephen Chow. Stephen Chow, Hong Kong filmmaker, China filmmaker. Um,
I'm woefully ignorant, but that
woefully,
sounds right. Yeah.
he made Kung Fu Hustle, which
Great. Yeah.
I remember watching. And even another one called Shaolin Soccer, which I have not seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that either.
And Kung Fu Hustle, you're just watching it, and it is just this homage to kung fu movies. He's
Hmm.
gotten all these old kung fu players, brought them in, and one of the things I think that sort of encompasses all the movies and what we're talking about is comedy. And the
Yes.
comedy in these movies is like it's like our comedy, but it's different.
But yes, and I sometimes it works, and I think sometimes it doesn't work, and maybe that's a cultural thing. I don't know because again, woefully ignorant. But the
There's
slapstick comedy in Journey to the West, I couldn't. It was
oh, you
the
couldn't do
juxt
it.
the juxtaposition between like like the literal horror elements and this it was just too. I was getting whiplash, and I was like, I don't know what is happening in this movie.
That is what I love about Stephen
I
Chow
I
is
totally
that
get it. Yeah.
it's just the sensibility is not our sensibility. He's selling these movies to people that have gone to like a different type of movies their entire life. They see Hollywood movies too, but
Sure, of
the
course.
I watched a couple nice documentaries about the Hong Kong movie scene, and it's like they see different stuff than us.
Yeah, I obviously just based again. I let me say, just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean I don't think it's good.
Sure,
I
of
want to
course.
I want to make that very clear. It's just not my bag, as they say.
Yeah, and in Journey to the West, like your first scene is this scene in this village on the water, and then there's this evil fish demon that's the greatest thing ever. Then we sort of go into like two sections on this giant evil pig.
Yep,
Then
yep.
we go into the monkey stuff.
And that's when it lost me. Well,
There's
that's not true. I almost turned it off immediately. Continue. Sorry.
there's this 5 minute scene where he's in this cave with the monkey guy, and you don't know you're just like I do not understand if this is supposed to be funny, if this is
Uh
supposed to be
huh.
weird. I don't know what their interaction is. I don't know what any of the references are. It's
And
just baffling.
so I read a couple reviews, and it
Yeah.
is based off of something.
It's a myth where there's this
Okay.
monkey and
Okay.
but every I've seen a couple other weird adaptations and they're
Okay.
completely they have nothing to do with
Super
what's in
different.
this movie. Not
Got it.
nothing.
Okay.
They're basically just there's these demons and there's demon hunters and he's just taken that rough format. We are not experts on this. He's taken that rough
Of
format
course. Of
and
course.
just interjected his own insanity into it.
And it's full of insanity.
Now
And
the first one starts with this like city built like right on the ocean and they're fishermen and then there's
Mhm.
like an evil demon fish that's eating things and then this guy
Okay, don't say things because the things that it eats, Dan, are horrific. I was totally blindsided by this first scene. My mouth was open from like minute 2 on because the first thing that happens, there's this adorable little girl and she's like hanging out with her dad, and her dad jumps in the water and to scare her, and then gets fucking eaten while she's like laughing. Haha, you're so silly. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And then it gets worse. the monster eats the little girl, Dan. I almost turned it off. I was like, what is wrong with Dan Goodsell? I need to get out of this movie now.
We keep waiting at the end, us being Westerners, for them to pull out the knife and cut the belly of the monster open and the kid's okay.
Yeah,
Nope,
there's a
just dead.
moment where the mother like looks at this fish demon and is like, give me back my daughter. I was like, okay, thank God. But no, then it just eats her. And I was like, holy shit, dude, this is crazy. But I also will say that first scene is the most fun that I had in the movie. And then I
Sure.
felt like it went downhill after that. And I don't know. It was wild. What a wild trip.
And what's I found so interesting is the whole beginning scene is this homage to Jaws.
Yes. Yeah.
There are Jaws shots, there's Jaws
The
music.
underwater swimming and yeah,
It's just
big
really
time.
he's amazing that way, and that's why I just love this movie. And the fish is just like so weird and has little arms
Yeah.
and like looks at them, and
Yeah.
then they pull it up there, and then he's reading it from this poetry book, and then
300. Yeah.
it
What?
it turns into a man, and he's like,
Oh,
and then the other demon hunter girl comes up there and she scoops him up in this thing and turns him into a little fish ornament, and you're just like, wait, what just happened? I don't understand
I
any of this.
not only do I not understand that, but then each demon is killed differently. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's not like a cohesive, like this is how you defeat the demon. I don't know. The rules are all over the place. It's hard to follow for me, but I will say that visually, I
Oh yeah.
love it.
And that's what's so interesting. A filmmaker like Stephen Chow can build these visual worlds, worlds we've never seen, and
But
I
yeah,
just get sucked in. I'm just like, look at and it's funny they did like the seesaw joke, which was kind of like in Lone Ranger, and you were like, oh, I bought it in this because it was,
yeah.
you know, they've set it up as being weird slapsticky as opposed to Lone Ranger
Yes.
where it's like, oh,
Kind of comes out of nowhere because they're like trying to be all cool and hip and stupid. That's a terrible film. Yeah, unfortunately. But so again with the slapsticky things, I think I haven't laughed as hard when the larger lady comes out in the seesaw joke. The last thump is like a large lady.
gigantic
Let
lady.
me do it. I did. I lost my mind. I thought that was very funny.
He's and it's going to be interesting if he ever does. I mean, I don't think he has ever does like a Hollywood movie. Did you watch the police scene from Mermaid?
Oh,
You
I knew
didn't
I
watch
forgot
it.
something. I didn't. I totally forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
But it's good.
we'll talk about
It's
that
good.
next year. And then Kung Fu Hustle, same sort of thing, but I think a more cohesive movie because the through
Yeah,
line's a lot
it's
stronger than this
it's like
movie.
a real movie is how I
Yeah.
look at it a little bit. But I mean, hey, listen, you do you. It's fun either way.
And and another thing we're going to talk about through all of this is characters. Stephen
Hmm.
Chow makes characters. He puts these people in these wigs and he dresses them this way. And the landlady in Kung Fu Hustle has a cigarette hanging out of her mouth the
Yeah,
whole time, and it's just
yeah.
every time you see it, you're just like, even though I watched a show on YouTube where they explained all the homages that he was doing. She was
Oh,
an
that's
old time
cool.
star, and she'd done all this before, and everybody gets it. But it's so it's that thing about good comedy and good stuff like that. You don't have to know the references if the thing is so well drawn.
100%. And which was where I think I fell off a little bit in the one that we Journey to the West, because I was like, I feel like maybe if I understood what they were making fun of, it would help a little bit,
Yes.
but it's fine.
I like that. I like sometimes just being like so far afield of anything.
And
I'm just like,
yeah,
I have no idea what's going to happen.
I can't wrap my head around any of this, but I'm just gonna watch it.
So Tony, let's talk about one of your films. Let's talk about what
Okay.
are your films?
Oh yeah. So my films. What did I send you? I know Monster Squad and Fired Up. What did I end up picking for my third one?
Saving Silverman.
Saving Silverman. Okay, I was torn between a couple of movies that came out at the same year. Zoolander came out that year as well
Zoolander.
as Saving Silverman, and then one other movie that I can't remember at this time. Yeah, so my movies: Monster Squad, movie I grew up with. Kids Against Universal Monsters. I don't know how it gets better than that. I genuinely don't. That is literally to this day still one of my favorite movies of all time. Fired Up, a movie I found in my past my formative years, really. I think it was after college even. Still to this day, if I need a pickup movie, that's my movie. It makes me laugh cover to cover every single time I see it. It's my most quoted movie. And then my third movie, Saving Silverman. The reason why I went with that in the end is because that's actually my first. I don't know if I want to say persona. That's almost weird. But I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was like middle school, high
Ah,
school, and like I wasn't sure where I fit into Hollywood because really all I'd seen, Belushi was there, Farley was there. Those are kind of the people I looked up to, and I was like, I can't be either of those guys. I don't know, like I don't have the dark edge of a Belushi, and I don't have like the fun, like craziness of a Chris Farley. I was like, I need something that's kind of in the middle. Jack Black came around, and that was kind of that middle ground that kind of blends those two humors together, I felt. And I was like, that's where I want to be.
oh, you like that movie because of Jack Black?
I like that movie I love
Interesting.
Jason Biggs. I love Amanda Peet, Steve Zahn. Great cast, ridiculous movie. And everything that JB does in that movie makes me laugh. Come on, yeah!
It's
Great.
interesting because so then we're going to start with Saving Silverman,
Okay, Saving Silverman.
the least problematic of Tony's three movies.
That's interesting. I wasn't sure. I haven't seen that movie in a couple of years. I was like, I wonder if it's clean enough to get on this list. I don't
Did
know.
you Saving Silverman?
Yeah, Saving Silverman. Yeah.
What do you mean by clean enough?
I just sometimes movies from that era have problematic things that
Oh yeah, this has problematic
it
things.
does. Okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah, no. All three of your movies have all sorts of problematic things. Oh God,
Well,
yes.
there's not a chance that Monster Squad has anything
Oh
problematic
it
except for,
has.
a couple of things.
Oh really? Just the couple of things, like everything about it.
Hold on. We're not talking about that movie yet. Let's move
No,
on.
we're not. No, we're not.
Saving Silverman.
Saving Silverman, yes. Three of your movies, and this is no reflection on you, have like all sorts of terrible homophobic stuff in them. That's just
You are
like so
100%.
problematic.
Yes, you are. Let's get that in the way. Even Fired Up, which is
Oh yeah.
it's right on the cusp of like they were almost trying to make a joke of, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to make it like ha, 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 homophobia is not a big deal. But in doing that, they did not succeed.
All three of these movies, and it's not really a thing I hold against them as movies. Is that's just like such an easy place to go for comedy,
100%.
and the jokes just don't land very well now, and they're just they feel very anachronistic.
Yeah.
And I mean, Monster Squad was the only one that I really was like, felt cringy because it was the oldest of them, and so
I mean, yeah, it's an 80s
they
movie,
were the
and
cringiest of those jokes.
for whatever reason we were like heavy into it's not good. It's not
Yeah.
good.
And yeah, and they didn't even sort of think about it. The other two movies are sort of straight up comedy, so they sort of think about it a little
Yeah.
before they start, just sort of going off like
Yeah.
it's okay. And in Monster Squad, there's a couple times where they kind of go off, and you're like, okay, guys, okay.
The one thing I will say, and this is maybe I'm gonna get canceled. In Monster Squad at that time, it really was not a big deal. And like I don't know, I'm not saying it's okay, but like they're almost not even jokes at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of part of the vernacular,
It is
which
a
is
little bit,
it's
yes.
very strange. It's very jarring, and that's the only reason if I ever have kids, I'm like, you can't watch one of my favorite movies of all time until you're old enough to understand the difference between like this is okay and this is not okay.
And that, I mean, I think that's sort of the thing, is it's not intentionally hurtful comedy.
Right.
They're not.
Yes.
It's just sort of it's just sort of like, it's like when you watch a really old movie and the African American characters are so caricatured. You're like, it's not that they're trying to do a thing. It's just that's where the culture was, and that's where
Right.
everybody's like, that's the joke you write in here, and
Yeah. Which is
it's a
unfortunate.
problem.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and you
Yeah.
have to sort of look at those things, but it's the intention is not to make something happen. It's just the
Yeah.
intention of the world, which is kind of scarier. But
I mean, not kind of. It definitely is. But so that's everything from the past. Not everything, but a lot of things from the past. You have to look as a time capsule.
yes,
You know what I mean? And I think the things that don't necessarily lean into those things are the movies that transcend generations. You know, like I don't know.
well, and you're picking all three of your things are very mainline, straight up comedies pointed towards a male audience,
Hmm.
made by men. You know, like
Yes.
all the movies I've sort of movies I've picked are all more recent movies, more recent filmmakers,
Which is
more
almost cheating if you think about it.
it sort of is. It's sort of well, especially in the comedy genre.
Yeah.
Because the
And
comedy
yeah.
genre, and that's one of the other things I wanted to sort of talk about today is everything is in the comedy genre except things that are really hardcore dramas things.
And so maybe we're not going to talk about my movie yet because I would love to actually expand on that on this thought because
Sure,
I over the past week when we were doing this episode and kind of looking at comedies and I was like, oh, all your movies are new, all of mine are like super old, and I knew this was going to be a thing. I was like, it's going to be a
sure.
problem. But I there are not a lot of movies that are made today that I consider straight comedies. I mean,
No,
Eurovision is great choice and
Eurovision straight
it's
comedy.
fantastic.
That's why it's great.
But what happened? Why we've moved away
Oh,
from doing straight comedies and everything is like a genre blend now where it's like
hmm
superhero comedy
hmm
or horror comedy. I miss the days where it's just comedy. Is it too hard now? I honestly I have no idea why we don't do it.
well, I think what's occurred is that we had these really strict lanes, and then everything started having comedy, and now I think that with comedy is like you have to sort of be appealing to a secondary audience. So you say, well, I'm going to make a comedy, but it's going to be a horror comedy, so I'm going to get the horror people too.
Yeah, I guess. I just don't
And
like it. I don't like it as much.
I think the other thing is that comedic stars all end up in real movies now. It's like Paul Rudd is an
Yeah.
Avenger. You know, Aquafina is in Shang-Chi. It's like we've co-opted our best comedic stars
So
and made them
that's
sort of secondary players in
yeah.
huge movies.
Yeah. Who are our comedic stars? Because I was
Oh,
looking at the eras of my movies and there were so many like comedy stars. You know,
sure.
like you look at the Saving Silverman as like Zoolander came out the year. I mean, that was peak Will. You got Ben Stiller, Jack Black was just emerged. Like there's a very nice core of like comedy stars. We don't really have that right now.
I mean, our people that are left standing are Melissa McCarthy and Will Ferrell.
Who are both no, not that this is a problem, who are both old. I mean,
Oh
there
yeah.
is no new generation of like comedic stars.
Well, I mean, this is I we always sit in there and we watch TV, and the Kate McKinnon goddamn phone commercial that you were sort of in, the newer versions come on, and
Yeah, I know. I don't get paid for those
I groan every time they come on because they're
because they're
terrible.
not so. And
Not
listen,
funny.
I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time harking on her because you know that I love her. Ghostbusters, holla. She's not charismatic in those commercials. They're not
Mm,
funny or charismatic.
mm,
It's
mm,
just weird.
mhm.
I don't understand. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But I don't know who our comedic stars are today.
And I mean, and she's old.
You're right. Yeah,
She's
she's not
old.
the youth either. Like
No,
she's up there. Who is our new emerging comedic geniuses? I mean, you look at a movie like He's All That, and I only say that because it was, you know, it's based off of the greatest film of all time.
sure.
Nobody in that movie is funny or can act. Not a single person. And I was like, what is happening? Where are all these people that are just like funny? Where is that? What happened?
that is a good question that I don't think we're going to get the answer to on here because
Because we're not very smart.
no, yeah, well, I mean, you'd have to do like a big analyzation. Is
Yeah.
where are the comics? Where's it hiding? And why is Hollywood not producing it? And I mean, and
Yeah.
and and for that matter, I don't think it's on TV because
Nope.
I
For sure not.
I will actively say I'm not a big fan of the movies because I think the movies are mostly garbage. I'm a huge fan of TV, and I think there's a ton of incredible TV that sucks you in every day, but it's not comedic material for the most part. It's
Yeah.
all the good dramatic material, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
occurs on
100%.
television because you actually have time to storytell, as opposed to movies where it's just like
Yeah.
spectacle, which they're very good at spectacle at this point. But
Sure, but I mean, that's almost a whole nother conversation. But if it's just spectacle and there's no depth to it, I don't care.
where are the good comedic stars? Well, they are in Saving Silverman.
Yeah, they are.
Steve's on great.
Yep.
Um, he's just great. Uh,
He is. How did he not get bigger? I genuinely,
oh,
I wish I would know. Oh, you know what happened?
oh, yeah, it's real easy.
Okay.
He's a good comedic actor, and he's also a good actor. And it's just like you say, there's not going to be big enough parts for him to
I
do that,
guess. Yeah, I guess that's
you
true.
know. And
He's
so
just so
he's
good,
doing White Lotus.
which he was great in. He was great in, but it's still like I want more. I just want more. Steve Zahn was so good.
He's great in everything he does, and but he's also sort of a second banana guy. He's just never been the guy that's in front. He was in the
Yep.
whatever that action one was with Matthew McConaughey. They tried to do that. It was the one where the boat
Oh,
is in the middle of the
Sahara.
desert,
Yeah. Sahara. Loved that
Sahara,
movie. Yeah, it was
which is
great.
based on a big bunch of books, but that movie didn't make enough
Yeah.
money, and so it didn't
It
go to
didn't
the
make
next
it
level.
was
And
a huge flop. Yeah.
but I mean, look at where our comedic great people end up. Well, they end up on Star Trek. Simon Pegg, Scotty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he takes that movie because he makes more money doing that movie than he does, 12 independent
Well,
movies
that
with.
and he's a huge nerd, so this was probably like his dream.
Yeah.
Which is great. It is so great. That's fantastic. I love it. But where's my next hot fuzz? Like I need I need
Well,
it.
that's your issue is that he made Edgar Wright made his money or made his fame on comedic movies, and now he's making Last Night in Soho, which is a thriller, and then he's making
Yeah.
the driving movie, which I did not care for.
What was the driving movie?
Baby
Oh,
Driver.
Driver.
Baby
Yeah, Baby
Driver.
Driver. There it is. There it is.
Which there was elements I was like, that should be like the greatest movie ever, but
Yeah.
it's about reality. And I'm like, I don't care.
I don't want to see reality.
I don't
That's
want to
not
see
why I
reality.
go to the movies. I want to see
No.
Journey to the West, the zaniest thing in the world.
Zaniest thing in the world. So Jack Black comes out, and
Yeah.
I like watching this, and I'm just like, good God, he's fully formed. But this
Mm-hmm.
was in, I believe, 2000. He is
Yeah.
fully formed at that point.
Correct.
He's been doing the Tenacious D TV
Yeah.
show on HBO, and they're getting ready to do Pick of Destiny, which is going to fail
It's the
miserably.
pick of Destiny's Child. Yeah, that movie.
That movie is like, you watch that movie and you're like, I understand why this didn't succeed,
Uh-huh.
and it's
Yeah.
sad.
It is sad because I was obsessed with the D, as we all know. I was like, this is my lane. I love everything you do. And we saw that movie, of course, at midnight, and I was like, what happened, JB? What happened? But I mean, it's not as I've grown further away from that first encounter. Like, it's not a terrible movie, but it's not a great movie.
Well, it's
What are you
an
gonna do?
extended television premise, is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that had been on TV and spread out over 2 or 3 episodes of their HBO show,
Oh, sure, great. Yeah, I would love it. It'd
it
be
would have
great.
been great. But it just doesn't translate as to
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't have that sort of oomph it needs.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But unlike Saving Silverman, which has the oomph, baby.
Saving Silverman. There's more cheerleading involved in this movie. There's Neil
Oh,
Diamond.
interesting. You're right. That is kind of a it's kind of a theme in my movies, cheerleading. Also, yeah, this started my Neil Diamond obsession. Was what I went full bore into Neil Diamond for a while there because of this movie.
They do a subway joke, which we're going to see more subway jokes in others of Tony's favorite movies.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. There is a theme. I do love Subway.
And then
The food, by the way, it's the food, not the traveling.
yes,
That's not the right word.
so basically, they're in a Neil Diamond cover band, and then
Yeah, great.
he gets sort of co-opted by this woman, Amanda Peet, and then they kidnap her, and then just all this weird, it's just weird stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean
And
it
it's
is
the thing I was
weird.
going to say about this movie, and I think it
Please.
says a lot about you, is it's sort of dressed like a black comedy, but it's not at all a black comedy.
Correct. No, it is not.
It's sort of
Is
dressed like a Farrelly Brothers movie, but it's not a Farrelly's Brothers movie.
Sure. Yeah, I
And so
can see that.
you like these comedies that are just like sort of they sort of act like there's stakes, but there's absolutely no stakes.
Correct. Yes.
And there's no consequences to anything.
Why would I want Dan? This is the movies. I don't want consequences. I want to see crazy people do crazy things and not only get away with it, but thrive in that situation. That's how I want to look at it. Because that's what I wish. I mean, I grew up watching Saved by the Bell. That is that's like how you would explain Saved by the Bell, which is interesting now that I'm looking at it.
Tony's movie, the way he wants his movies, he wants them to be a perfectly outfitted basement where the kids just fool around playing foosball and having no consequences to their actions whatsoever.
Coming to yeah, man.
It is sort of interesting that you did not pick any of the real movies. You didn't even pick your She's the Man, or not She's the Man.
Wait, first of all,
I mean,
She's the
Man's great.
Great movie.
Great movie.
but,
The other
but
one,
She's All That.
She's All That, because that is a movie with consequences where characters are embarrassed horribly and have to really go through it. But you didn't pick that one, did you?
Do you know why I didn't pick it?
Why did you pick that
because it's the only one on the list that I think is inarguably a good movie. Does that make sense? I think
you picked these other three movies because they're bad movies?
I don't think they're bad. I love them. I think they're great movies, but I think that they are flawed movies, and I think it's easier to see the other side. If you come at me, and people do, about She's All That, I will fight you to the death, because She's All That is a perfect film. And 100%.
I think I probably picked what I considered, well, the Eurovision is, I think, is cut from that perfect. I think
100%.
Wilder People is too.
I only
You didn't watch the whole thing.
I didn't have time. I watched it this morning and I was like, I wish I would have watched this instead of Journey to the West last night, because this movie is fantastic and Journey to the West is bonkers.
We'll talk about it some more.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are those perfect movies, and yes, all the movies you picked are movies that are flawed, but they actually give us a peek into the Tony character.
100%.
And yeah. I think Journey to the West is a flawed movie that points to my character.
It's a good Sellian movie.
Yes.
Can I term that?
What I truly love. So yeah, Saving Silverman. What else did I want to say? And we have, what's his name, playing their coach. What's his name?
Oh gosh, what is his name?
I think he passed away.
Yeah, he did, which was very sad. He's the army guy.
He's the army guy.
He was like a drill sergeant, and then he turned an actor, which is incredible.
And he just brings this great energy. We had this one teacher who's still around there, Guy Stevenson, who has the same sort of insane military comedic energy that we just love to death.
Yeah, he does. Phenomenal.
So another interesting thing about these movies is, why did I write sauce boobs at the end?
Sauce boobs?
Sauce
I'm
boobs.
sure there's a joke in the movie that makes sense too.
The other interesting thing about two of these movies is I think they're R-rated. And they literally have one nudity scene.
Fired Up is PG-13.
Really? I guess
They were the first, maybe not the first, but one of the first teen sex PG-13 movies, and that is why in the theaters it did not do well. So then they released an unrated version, which added zero R-rated material. It just
no.
added more jokes, I think.
I watched the unrated one because
Okay,
that's
you
the one.
did.
I watched
Okay,
the unrated one. There is one scene. They're in the
there is.
lake and a girl goes
Oh, sure,
topless
yeah. When they're practicing in the lake,
practicing in the lake.
so good because the weight. Okay, anyhow, yeah.
Jesus.
That movie fucking cracks me up, man.
Oh my god. So okay.
All right.
So it's so interesting is like yeah, the R ratedness at least of and Silverman must have been R rated too because there's like this one scene where they
Yeah,
bring home
I
these
think
two
it was.
prostitutes and there's like all this sort of not all this, but there's an amount
Sure.
of nudity that's very
Yeah.
weird.
And it
And
doesn't totally fit with the rest of the film.
no, you're just like,
Yeah.
what is this scene doing in the middle of, I mean, if that's
Sometimes you just got to get boobies to get that rating. You got to get that teen audience in there, you know?
so they're exploiting the teens. So at the end, Jack Black becomes gay and marries the coach, and Steve Zahn ends up with Amanda Peet, and
Yeah.
he ends up with the girl that was the nun.
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, Amanda Peet is by far, I thought, the best thing about this movie.
I mean, Amanda Peet is incredible. Fantastic.
I was sort of rooting for her. I wasn't really rooting for them.
Of course. No. I mean, you don't root for the two idiots that are that kidnap a woman. I'm sorry. It's not. That's when I say it like that. It's not funny. But in the movie, it's very funny. And she. I mean, she. Yes, it is, Dan. You know it's funny. But she also
Yeah.
continually bests them. And that's why I still think that it works on a level is because she does humiliate them and make them look like the idiots that they are.
I guess my point is that she ends up with the Steve Zahn character, and I don't think that movie earned this.
Oh, I think that's fair. I think the ending of that movie feels very tacked on. Just like we
Yes.
have to wrap this up and all these people have to be somehow linked together at the end because I don't know what we've written ourselves into, but it's fine. That's just wish fulfillment for all of us right there where we're like, I feel like I'm the Steve Zahn. I could get an Amanda Pete, but you can't. Sorry, guys.
Steve
Spoiler
gets
alert, you can't get an Amanda Pete.
Tony gets his basement. Okay, next we're going to talk a little bit about Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, great.
I sort of avoided this movie because there was this other movie called Beasts of the Southern something or other. I saw.
Beast of the Southern Nation.
Is that what it is? No.
Is that about the child army?
No. It was
Beast of the Southern Wild.
Beasts of the Southern Wild.
Okay.
And I'd seen that movie and I expected something and I went and it wasn't what I expected and it didn't do anything for me. So I somehow in my brain, not surprisingly, connected them. So I sort of avoided this movie and then it was on Netflix and I watched it and holy moly, what a movie. This is like Taika Waititi's just like his statement about what his comedy is and the Ricky kid in this he just comes in there and destroys.
And I feel like we see him after this movie, and I can't remember where, but
he's in Deadpool 2. He's the kid.
There you go.
Yeah, so he got that off of Deadpool.
He's great. Yeah.
It's hard to talk about this movie because just like every set piece is just beautiful. And they break it up into like 7 chapters, and basically they just broke it up into like 7 set pieces, and you just enjoy them. It's he gets dropped off as a foster kid, then he grows to love the woman, and then she dies.
Yeah,
and then they sort of have to go on the run. He goes on the run, and then him and the uncle end up on the run, and then they learn to love each other and care about each other. Ricky learns to be a man, and then they come back. And this movie's really great because, well, everything, but you didn't watch the ending.
I will because it was very strong.
A good movie, in my opinion, does all its things, and then you need another 10 minutes to unpack where these characters went because you have built characters that we care so much about that we want to see what's going to happen with their
What
lives.
happens next? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
And
get that.
and I think with that and with Eurovision, we get so much of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with Eurovision, I don't know about the ending of this movie.
Yeah, I don't know that about the
I
movie.
was here's one thing that I want to say, and I don't know if this is right or not.
Uh-oh.
Where is he from?
Who?
Mr. Watiti?
Oh,
Is it
New Zealand.
New Zealand? Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. I think that as a Westerner, as we are called, I think that I just find that accent funnier. Like any jokes that they say, I think I find funnier than if they were said with like a straight American accent, because I don't know. There's like a sing-songy nature to it. I feel like that just like adds this weird level of joy to everything. This even when it's like dark, when they're in the first time that they encounter people after they're on the lam a little bit, and it's the pervert scene, and he's like explaining what he made him do in the woods, and it makes it sound like
Oh
he's
god.
doing bad
It's like
things, and he's not. I was dying. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like everything they say is funnier than when we say it. I don't know why.
well, I think, and that's the thing we can talk about what is a good movie. It's because it's well written and well directed.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure.
And
100%.
so when you put a Sam Neill out there,
Oh
and
god, I
I don't
love
know that
Sam
he
Neill.
says anything necessarily funny, but when you
No.
just give somebody just like all this, reality,
Yeah.
when you have this comedic character constantly bouncing up against them.
100%. And Sam Neill's so great because his reactions are so nice. They're subtle. He's like the grouchy older guy, and he's great. Sam Neill's awesome. Let's just put that to bed right now.
And so when you have good direction, it just becomes seamless and good writing. Like that scene, if a lesser writer had written that scene, it just would, because
Oh, a million
you
percent.
have to get the double meaning, just like because we're all sitting there hearing the double meaning. Sam Neill's character's double meaning, and they're hearing what they want to hear, and Ricky's,
Yeah.
you just like it is perfection,
Yeah.
all carefully weaved together.
And here's what I'm going to say, Dan.
What
Now,
are you gonna say, Tony?
this will be maybe this is controversial. I don't know. Um,
Controversial.
I'm going to say two things, I think. The first is I agree this movie is very well written and very well directed. It is what I call a real movie,
Real movie, yes.
to which I don't consider this a comedy. I consider this a dramedy.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
it's too
Well,
real. And I like
sure.
this
I
is
know what
just
you're
my
saying.
brain. I'm not saying it's necessarily true. But so this will never be one of my favorite movies, for example,
Ah,
because it's not. I like the silliness. I like to be taken to a plane of not real existence.
got it.
Yeah, and maybe that's weird. I don't really know, but like when I look at a Saving Silverman, because that's what we've talked about so far,
Mhm, mhm.
and compared to this movie, I mean, they're not even in the same league of types of movie. You know what
True.
I mean? And I prefer this sillier, lighthearted, just crazy world that we live in these comedies, because it's too close to the real world. It's very funny. It's very well done. It's a beautiful movie. It's a better movie.
I know exactly what you're saying, and
Okay, I don't know if I'm
and
saying it right.
no, you're saying it absolutely right. You
Yeah.
wanna exist in a comedic movie where we always know it's a comedic movie, because
Yes.
even She's All That wait, yeah, She's All That,
Hmm.
it's not a comedic movie, it's
No.
trending more towards a real movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And which I mean, she's all that is like my line, which is weird.
That's
Like
just
if it's any
that's
more
just the
real to
edge.
that, then I'm out. I'm not out, but I'm not like I will not fall in love with you. That's like it's the most real movie. And that sounds crazy when you think about it, because people are like, that movie's ridiculous. But
Now wait a second,
yes.
but, like,
Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
favorite TV show of all time is Lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, explain that then.
Be a totally different scenario. Because
Oh,
so
because it's a science fiction world, it's not our
you're
wo
not, yeah, you're
you're
not in the real
also
world.
not in our world.
Thank you. But also it's a perfect show.
No, I mean, whatever. That's fine. That's an argument
But
for
so
another day.
like my other favorite shows of all time, right? Let's focus more on those because Lost is almost an anomaly.
Oh, okay.
Smallville would be up there, which is, Clark Kent as a teenager. You can't get much more not real than that. Friends is one of my other favorite shows. And then, I mean, there's a bunch of shows, but like Freddie, for example, is a show that I consider one of my favorite shows of all time, which is a Freddie Prinze Jr. sitcom that lasted for one season about him living with he's a chef and he lives with his family. It's ridiculous. So I'm just saying, like, for the most part, the majority of my favorite things fall into that category.
So you don't like. Is there anything that's an actual drama that
Braveheart.
occurs in the real what?
Braveheart?
No, that's fantasy
No?
too.
Wait, no,
That
they
is
tell me it's
complete
based on
fantasy
real
because
things.
it's
No, sir. It is based
no, that's
on
a
real
complete
things.
fantasy because it doesn't have anything to do
Freedom!
with our real world. You
No,
don't like anything that has to do with our real
it's
world,
not
do you?
it's not a dislike. It's like I just will never
That does
love it.
that's not in your top tier.
It
You
doesn't
can't top tier
it doesn't
anything.
speak to me in the same way. Yeah.
Everything has to be fantasy. Has to be that carpeted basement
Again, you're saying things
with
like
the
has to.
pool
It doesn't
table.
have to. You can make great movies. That's fine. I just won't care for them as much.
Okay,
They're
next
not
up,
my movies.
I'm going to give you my fired observations.
Hey, Dan Goodsell, everybody.
This movie is so Tony from the first pop punk song that
I
comes on. I'm just
know.
like, oh God. Oh, Blink 182
Oh God.
cashed another check.
If we haven't talked about it on here, people should know that my favorite genre of music, pop punk, which also, if you think about it, falls into the same category as my comedy sensibilities.
It's
Pop sugar goodness, baby. I should get a shirt that says that.
so basically we have two 30-year-old guys that are going to go to cheerleading camp and have sex with a bunch of the hottest
Hold on.
17-year-olds in the world.
Hold on, Dan.
I know
Only
the other guy
one
was
of
only
them is
27.
30. That's
All
right.
right, the guy was
Thank you.
27. Yes.
But can
I
we
did
talk
my
about that for
research.
just 1 second? How bizarre that is? That they
It-
made a high school movie and they literally cast people that are in their 30s. How do you
It-
even do that?
because that's the fantasy, my friend. My
Oh, so
fantasy is
crazy.
at 30 years old, I'm going to go to cheerleading camp and
So
it's
weird.
smorgasbord time.
But Dan,
Um,
you're missing the core element of the movie is he falls in love with one of them, Dan. Okay. It's a sweet romantic story.
no, they both fall in love with someone.
Well, sure. But one of them is
No,
like a
well, actually,
real.
the one they sort of go through the motions of him actually falling in love. The other one,
Yeah.
they just wrote it in that he was in love with someone else.
That is correct.
That was the weirdest turn of the whole movie. So this movie about cheerleading camp, the problem with this movie, and I started to watch Bring It
Bring
On,
It On. Yeah.
and I
Great
was
movie.
like, I remember Bring It On. I was like, I enjoyed Bring It On, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
watched
Bring It On is great.
this movie, and I'm like, it was fine. Would I ever watch this movie again? No, never in a million years.
Yeah, 100%. You will watch every time you come over to my house. It'll be playing.
Bring It On's an actual movie. This is just
100%. Yes.
no. But this movie is a running commentary between two friends of just jokes. That's why you love this movie. Is because
Yeah.
these two guys are just like joke.
They are joke. David Walton comes in as a revelation to this world, and I still don't understand why we haven't made him the biggest movie star on the planet.
Who's David Walton?
He's the boyfriend of the blonde girl. He's Dr. Rick.
Oh, he was funny.
He is. He's one of my favorite actors at this at this time. He doesn't get enough work. He's got a couple of TV shows that have like run for 1 to 2 seasons and then gotten canceled for some. Like Perfect Couples was great. Bent with Amanda Peet. Did you ever see that? It only ran for 6 episodes. It's fucking brilliant. Jeffrey Tambor is in it as the oh god, it's such a good show. That's irrelevant, but Fired Up is where I found David Walton, fell in love with him. He's so good in this movie. Flatow, I can quote this movie top to bottom without a doubt. This movie makes me laugh harder than anything else I've ever seen in my entire life.
I think because of that machine gun comedic
Yes.
approach. And
It
it's
you
interesting. There's some movie we watched, and then we got to the end and they like did like the outtakes, and there was actually a funny it was like a movie that wasn't funny that was supposed to be funny, and then one of the
Yeah,
outtakes
and
was
then
actually
yes.
funny.
Yep. I don't remember
This
which one that was, but that
this
100%
one,
happened.
they have the outtakes at the end and you're like, they're all real jokes. I mean, and you could just tell they probably were on set just joke, 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 joke,
Yes.
joke, joke, joke.
There's that point where they're playing golf and they're literally throwing joke after joke at Eric Christian Olsen, and he's like delivering them. And I was like, what a fun set to be on, that you deliver your line, you say one or two of your jokes, the director's throwing jokes, everyone's just throwing jokes, and they're like, we'll see what makes the cut because we got 50 good jokes here. Oh God, I love it.
And the people that did this movie all went on to do real things. They did not,
Yes.
and
Yep.
this was like, I mean, wait, was this the one where it was like the oh no, it was what was it? Was it on Saving Silverman? No, it was the Monster Squad guys. The guy that wrote Monster
Oh,
Squad at the same time wrote Die Hard and
yeah.
something else. It was like insane. It was like unbelievable. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
really good Mike's Hard Lemonade joke right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Really good joke. This little sister Poppy, she's freaking great.
Oh my gosh, Dan, hold on. It's funny that I'm not funny because I purposely did this, but I love her. She's so funny. She went on to do Michael J. Fox's sitcom for a little bit, like the one that came out just 5 or
The
6 years ago.
the one where he's like in government, that one?
No,
The
no, no,
one
no.
after
After,
that?
yeah, the
Oh, I
one
don't
where
know.
it's like it focuses on his Parkinson's. Anyhow,
Oh,
I
okay.
I thought it was great. I loved it. Anyhow, she she pops up in a Sugar Rush baking Christmas edition on Netflix, which is a cooking show. Apparently, she's a singer, and we were watching it this week, and she like came out as one of the carolers, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Poppy!" Ah, and we went crazy. So things aren't going great for her, I don't think, unfortunately, but she is wonderful
Well,
in this movie. She's so
she's
funny.
great.
Yeah,
There's a whole big they do this whole big robot lip sync to bring it on, which I thought was
yeah,
very funny.
yeah, great stuff.
And but just like so thrown away. I don't even think they mentioned the movie. And if like you don't know what the hell's
No,
going on, you're just like, what the fuck? I don't
but
understand.
you know what's going on, Dan.
You know
You
what's
know,
going on.
everybody knows. Everybody knows.
They did a Rock Me Sexy Jesus joke
Oh, rock me, sexy Jesus. Yeah.
from one of the greatest movies of all time, Hamlet 2. Um,
Yeah.
and they get busted by the bus tickets, very low stakes, blah blah. The my main problem with this movie is the cheers are terrible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't. There's nothing I can do to argue with that, Dan,
I
because they're
wish
not good.
I wish they'd have spent a little time on the cheers.
And here's my only problem with that is that as a movie, it is rather focused on the cheers. Like there's a lot of cheering involved.
There's a fair amount of
Not
cheering
I don't
involved.
mean like the
Yeah,
storyline or anything, but I mean like
yeah,
they show a lot of the cheers and it's all super basic. And I was like, this competition would be terrible to watch because none of these are very good.
yeah.
But you just
You
have to
you
look
wish
past that.
you wish they'd have spent a little money and hired someone to sort of
Like a
deal with the
choreographer
like a
or
choreographer or something like that.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Eurovision. This was a movie
Oh,
that
yeah.
I really thought was going to be the most garbage movie of all time. I was going to pick it for this show, and then I think maybe you watched it or something,
Yeah.
and you were like, and then
Yeah.
I was about to pick it, and then you had watched it, and then made it your positive pick, and I was like,
I
what the
was like, no,
fudge?
this movie's good. I really enjoyed it.
Will Ferrell showing you everything he can do when
Which is a lot, it
when
turns out.
when he's on, he's on.
Yes. Yep.
And the writing on this movie, this is if you want to talk about comedic writing, this is the movie for me. Just the
Yeah.
emotional stories, the comedic stories, the songs in this movie. I watched
Are
the
very good.
well,
Which is
they hired all the top Eurovision guys to
See,
write all
and
the
that's what
songs.
you have to do, which is a great segue from Fired Up, where they
Didn't do that.
don't do that at all.
Nope.
And to me, that's the only detriment of that film. That's the only misstep they made. But Eurovision 100% lives and breathes this world, and it's magical.
And it loves the world. And I think
Yes. Yeah.
that's sort of I think with Fired Up, I don't think they love that world.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Bring It On, they love the world.
100%.
And
Yeah.
also in Dodgeball, which is
Oh,
another one that ends
so good.
Dodgeball's another perfect comedic movie.
Yeah.
They love the
100%.
cheerleading, they love the dodgeball world.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's I wa Shannon hates that movie, and I turn it on, and she's like,
Oh,
"Why are you
no.
watching this movie?" I
Oh,
don't
it's
know why
great.
she hates it. She hates it. Oh god,
Yeah.
there's 10 things. So in Eurovision, they love and the songs are great. I listen to the songs all the time. I watch the videos all the time because they vacillate between being incredibly comedic and being emotional, and I'm a big softie. I am a big horrible
I
softie.
Dan, again, this is another movie that brushes right up against that line for me of like almost being too real of a
Oh,
movie, which is
really?
crazy. Not
Huh.
not as like a story or a world, but their characters
Oh,
are
sure.
too formed,
Sure.
almost.
Well,
But
they're like real people that
yes,
they exist in this parallel universe, but their feelings are real. You like a movie
100%.
where the characters' feelings aren't
This
real.
no, this movie is still in my bubble. I love this
It's
movie.
right on the
This was my
edge.
favorite. It is right on that edge, and I was like, oof, if they would have gone any further, I would have been like, this movie's out. But they balance it so well with the humor and the music. It was my favorite movie of that year,
And
for sure.
when she's sitting there and the scores are coming in and he's walking away, it's just it is
Yeah.
powerful, more
Yeah.
powerful, I think, than unless you're like doing really emotional life and death cancer
Of
sort of
course,
stuff.
which I don't watch.
No, I can't take a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
no, thank you.
we'll talk about that in the in our epilogue. Um,
Oh, okay.
because I'm watching something that's incredibly emotional, and I
Oh, Dan, that's a
freaking
mistake.
love it.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay. All
there are
right.
some things I love that are super. Okay, so this movie, yeah, just the emotional stuff is just packed in there, but the comedy's right there. And once again, they hired the right people to get
Yeah.
everything right. And Dan Brown as the Russian guy,
It's yeah,
he kills
it's
me.
crazy.
He just
Yes,
kills me. And he's a villain that is not at all a villain.
correct.
We get
Which
to
is a
the end.
great way to do it in a comedy. So, and here's so
Say a couple
this
more
this
nice things about Eurovision, Tony.
well, what surprised me when I saw it the first time is Will Ferrell movies are a hit or miss. I think we can all agree with that.
Sure. Yep.
I don't remember there ever being a Will Ferrell comedy that I consider to be a real movie. I can't think of another one that I'm like, that is a real movie, but it's also incredibly funny and it's just brilliant. So when I saw it the first time, I thought it was just going to be a stupid Blades of Glory, one of my least favorite movies of all time. I hate that movie. Maybe we should do it for this podcast. I hate that movie. I thought it
Okay.
was going to be on that level, and I
Yeah.
watched it and I was blown away. I was like, holy crap, there's real people in this movie. There's real emotions. There's jokes flying all over the place. The music is beautiful. It's unbelievable. I literally could not believe that Will Ferrell made this movie.
I don't think any of the set pieces fall on their face at all.
No, not at all. It's unbelievable. So this is the one movie on your list that I'm like, yeah, this is obviously an A plus plus.
Now we're gonna go to the bottom of the barrel.
Oh
Tony's
boy. I can't
favorite
believe Monster Squad's the bottom of the barrel. It's the greatest film ever.
1987,
Great year.
couple years after Goonies. Wow, I guess someone watched Goonies.
Yeah, but they watched Goonies and were like, why does this movie suck so much? And then they made a good movie with the same formula. I dislike the Goonies strongly. In the war between Monster Squad and Goonies, Monster Squad wins 7 days of the week.
Clocking in at the hour and 22 minutes because
Perfect. It's the perfect timing because as kids we can't hold our attentions that long, Dan. That's almost pushing it. 80
um
minutes. Come on.
we have my favorite part of the whole movie right at the beginning. There we're in this crypt and there's armadillos in the crypt.
Yeah.
Tony,
Yeah.
why are there armadillos in the crypt?
I don't know. I've never been to a crypt. It could be there.
Oh
Have
my
you ever been
god.
in a crypt, Dan? You don't know.
Yes, of course I've been in crypts.
Wait,
What are you
hold on. Why
talking
are you in
about?
crypts? You creep. What are you doing in a crypt?
We've been to
Grave
Europe.
robbing?
We've been to Europe. Well, we
You've
went
been
to
to
the
Europe? Man.
in the cathedrals. They all have all these giant crypts, and then we also
And
went
you can
in.
walk through them?
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't know. Listen, I'm not cultured. I
And
don't
then
know
of
things.
course in France we went to the big thing where you go underground and it's like the piles of skulls and stuff. We went to that. It's like
That's a
in
thing?
this.
That
Oh
sounds
God,
incredible.
yes, it's
I want to do that.
insane. It's like
Oh my
it's all
god.
these tunnels made out of skeletons and skulls. It's bonkers.
What?
Oh yeah, it's
I'm
the
going to Google
it's
that.
the
That
cat.
sounds
It's the
phenomenal.
Paris Catacombs, I believe, is what it's called.
Oh, okay. The catacombs.
So what do I have to say about
Yeah,
this
what do you
movie?
have to say? Bottom of the barrel. What the hell?
The best actor in this movie is the Beagle. The Beagle's great. I love the Beagle.
I mean, the beagle is adorable,
He's
Dan.
adorable.
Oh my god.
How did he get up in the I think they do a joke. This movie
Yep.
just makes no sense. It's like the coolest kid in town becomes friends with these kids, sort of to
Yeah.
peep on a girl, sort of,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. That's your
I don't
sister.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's weird. He's like 17, they're like 9. You're like, this is
Rudy!
not right. It's very
Part of the
weird.
goddamn club, aren't I? God, I love this movie, Dan.
My favorite part of the movie, my other favorite part of the movie, little kids down by the thing, drops his Twinkie in the lake, and the creature in the Black Lagoon comes out, brah! And then what does the creature do?
Nothing?
Nothing. Exactly.
Is that what you're
What the
okay?
fudge? What?
They're kids, Dan.
Like what? I mean, I am not a fan of the Lost Boys, but
Wait,
like
whoa.
when
What? What do you mean? That is another perfect film.
that's not a perfect
Maggots,
film.
Michael. You're eating maggots. Those are my. I was between those two movies. Those are my two favorite '80s films.
Well, I will say, Monster Squad worse than the Lost Boys, which takes a lot.
Well, so hold on. Monster Squad's made for children. Lost Boys is made for teenagers. So I just want
Yes.
that. There's a distinction.
Well, okay. Let's make that distinction even more.
Okay.
Lost Boys is made for teenagers.
Yeah.
Monster Squad made for babies.
Oh, babies! Come on.
Were you scared at all as a kid when you saw this movie?
No, but I was terrified of the Lost Boys, and that's why I loved it.
Yeah.
That movie scared the shit out of me.
Lost Boys, it has some scary things to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watching it as an adult, you shake your head and you're just like, oh, this is so corny.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. It's an '80s movie. It's very hard for them to hold up 40 years later. Jeez, Dan.
Oh my
But the
god.
Monster Squad is everything that I love.
Yes.
Group of friends, bunch of smart asses, cracking jokes, having a good time, and then literal monsters show up, Dan. The universal monsters in all their beautiful glory.
Not the Universal Monsters.
Wow, okay, but I mean they are the universal monsters. You know what I'm saying.
This is what I wrote
And
down.
oh, please, yeah.
It would be a good movie if it was a good movie.
That is the most inaccurate thing you've ever said. This is a great movie. It
You
could
could-
not be better.
Are you really? You don't think you could make this movie better? You don't.
if
If it
you-
was suspenseful and things actually happened
I
and
don't
just
know
random.
if it needs it.
Why
I don't
do-
know.
okay,
I
I'm
don't
gonna-
think so.
If
Okay.
you can answer this one question,
Okay.
then I will say Monster Squad's a great movie.
All right, I'm in.
Why is Dracula's car insubstantial at times?
Because he's got magic powers.
Because he's got magic
Mic
powers.
drop. Mic drop. Is just to be clear, insubstantial is when he drives through people. Yes? That's what you mean by that? Okay. I don't know what that word means. It's too big for me.
Why? What is that? Why is that even a thing?
Yeah, because it's a cool power to have. What other questions do you have, Dan?
So
That's
you
unbelievable.
just so this is the Tony way of thinking about a movie. That's cool because if I had a car, I wish that it could do that.
That would be so dope if I could just drive through things. That would be so great. Also, as a villain, what a cool power.
Now,
Keep going. Keep going.
What is Dracula's preferred method of fighting his enemies?
Just swinging his arms.
Nope.
What do you mean?
Dynamite.
Oh, I mean, yeah. He loves dynamite. Yeah. I mean, blows up the treehouse with the dynamite, blows up the cop car with some dynamite. It's a dope move.
Dynamite.
They also
Last
like
question.
rigged the house with dynamite. I don't. Yeah, it's
Van
great.
Helsing goes into the portal, then comes
Yeah.
out, then goes back in. Where did he learn to give kids the thumbs up?
I think that the thumbs up has always been a sign of congratulatory good jobs, right? I don't. When was it invented, Dan? You don't know. Give me the history, the oral history of the thumbs up. No, I mean, it's hilarious when he.
When
It's so good.
as kids, we were like, "Thumbs up to you, Van Helsing!" in the theater.
Yeah, so funny.
Now, how old were you
If
when you saw this movie?
I mean, this came out when I was 2, so I was probably like 5 or 6
Oh, okay.
when
So you saw it
when I saw it as a young kid.
as a baby.
And I watched this VHS over and over. It was this and The Mannequin. Those were like the 2 movies that I watched on repeat.
Kim Cattrall.
Yeah, man, The
Sexy
Mannequin's
Mannequin?
so good. It's so good. My sister and I used to have that movie memorized.
Meshach Taylor, right? Isn't he in that?
Is that the guy with the crazy
designer
hair?
guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Designer. That's the word I was
I think
looking
so.
for. I was like, he makes clothes.
Went on to fame in designing women, I believe.
Yeah. Those were our 2 movies as
Okay,
kids.
so that's the problem. The problem is Tony fell in love with this movie as a kid. It's like Jungle Book to me.
What is the Jungle Book sucks? I'm kidding. The real action Jungle Book, I hated.
Oh,
The live action,
I would
awful.
never see that. Never see that.
Woof. I mean, Jungle Book's great. So, and here's the thing, Dan. I still love this movie today, despite its flaws, for the following reasons. I still think it's brilliant. I love the monsters. This is, without a doubt, my favorite Dracula.
Oh, you like that
I
Dracula? Okay.
love him. And the moment when he picks up Phoebe by the chin and he goes, "Give me the amulet, you bitch." One of my favorite moments of cinema history. And I love it. I think it's great. I think that moment still stands the test of time. Which is not a lot to say in a full movie, but I also love the depiction of the Wolfman. The scene where he's like in the cop scene and he's like, "Lock me up." I love that scene. I think that's great. And then there's like these little things that you don't think about that they put in the movie just because it's a real movie. There's a one point where the dad comes home and the mom is there when Dracula blows up the kid's house and then his partner, tough stuff.
With dynamite.
The mom has packed her bags.
Yeah.
She's leaving him. They don't talk about it. They don't mention it. As a kid, I never saw it. As an adult, I was like, oh my God, she's fucking leaving him. It's a well-drawn movie in times. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you said it all. Is the guys that wrote this movie wrote Die Hard.
Yeah.
The same year, same time. So I think they wrote this
which
movie.
Is bizarre.
They wrote this movie over a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The studio said, "We need a movie like this." They're like, "We got this movie." They did it. They wrote the jokes. They wrote the bits. They wanted it. They wanted it a little Goonies. They wanted a little E.T. They wanted all these things. They made it. They probably shot the movie in like 3.5 weeks.
Sure.
And they put it out. And yes, there are elements of it that are there made by good filmmakers.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, man, those guys fell apart.
It's a very sad story.
Wait, they did Die Hard and Lethal Weapon? Is that the other one they did?
I want to say, yeah, that sounds
like
right.
two gigantic things.
Yeah, two big things back to back. Yeah.
And then like the stuff they're doing now, it's just like, oh, wow.
Did you watch the documentary at all? Probably not. There's a documentary called Wolfman Scott Nards, which is obviously a great moment in the film.
Sure.
A plus. But it's about like they basically, it's a screening later, and they kind of catch up and talk about like, hey, why did this movie not work? And like the director is still fairly upset about it. Like
Oh,
the way
really?
he talks about it is like, he's
Oh,
like, I thought we had a great product. I still think like it's great that people love it now because it's kind of become a cult classic, but at the time
sure.
felt totally flat. And so
Yeah.
he still seems like genuinely affected by it, and it's heartreartking to watch because I'm just like, that sucks. Like
Oh.
to still worry. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I love the movie though. It's a great movie, and it's
Well,
moving on to happier things. Sorry, what? No. What?
well, that's sad because your stuff has an effect.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I can complain about it here, but you love it to death, and all those people in that theater love it to death. And it's like if you have one person quoting lines from your movie 20, 30, 40 years later, you've done something right.
For sure. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't respected in its time. You know what I'm saying? But this is the movie above all other movies ever made that shaped who I am as a person,
Sure.
without a doubt. Like this is where I fell in love with horror. This is where I fell in love with like buddies bantering. Like the kids talk like no kids talk in any like it's ridiculous the way they talk to each other. But as a kid, you're like, oh man, these kids are so cool, dude. I want to be just like them.
So
Um,
maybe Tony, if you have a kid, have him watch Citizen Kane and not Monster Squad. And
I hate Citizen Kane. I would never. My kid would hate me forever. He would run away. He would emancipate himself at 12. It would be a
it'd be
tough go
great.
of things.
That's the kid I
It
want to.
would
That's the kid I want to hang out with.
be, get out of here, guy. Yeah, this movie this holds a real special place in my heart. And while I agree that it's not a great film,
Sure.
there are elements in this movie that I think are better than any other element in the world.
So those are some of our favorite movies.
Yeah.
Why? Because we like movies, and movies are good. And that's the glorious thing about movies is we all have different opinions. Tony could just love his Monster Squad to death,
I will.
and he's gonna do that. And whoever directed that, Tony's your guy. You call him
I know.
up on
Yeah,
the
well,
phone.
let's hang out, man. I'll tell you how much I love it all the time. It'll make you feel better.
So Tony, I understand you have some charts and some
I do. Yeah,
graphics and numbers and some revealing information about what it
I
is
don't
we
know.
do here at Hate Watching.
I don't know how revealing it is or interesting. It's probably not interesting at all, but I found it interesting. I've been tracking some statistics as we went along. And so,
Ooh.
since this is the end of the year, I was like, let's take a look back at what we've done so far. First of all, I just wanted to break down the movies by year to see
Oh,
which years we've done the most movies from, which was an interesting thing because I'm going to put up a chart right now. Damn it, you won't be able to see it.
sure.
The years, there's a tie between 2016 and 2020. They both have 6 movies apiece.
Okay, that makes some sense.
It's sad to me that 2020 isn't there because that's now. That's the now times, and we're making shit movies.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, of course. Of course
It's
we're
just
making
real, like to me,
well,
that's just like a real bummer
I
that like
think
we've hit a time where there's terrible movies out.
but I think part of that's that we have those movies right in front of our we have what
Maybe.
was the one? Chaos Walking. We have Chaos Walking
Yeah.
right there, and it needs to be addressed right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You're right about that. Oh man.
2016, I would not have seen 2016 coming.
I didn't go back. I should have gone back and like looked at what those titles were
Sure.
and why we what was so wrong with them. But
Interesting.
2016, big year for us.
Huh. Okay.
I also was looking at the months of when things were released to see like, are they summer
Oh,
blockbusters? Are they
they buried in
December movies? What is the most? And sure enough, June was tied for the most. So like
sure.
right at the beginning of the summer movie, see these are the blockbusters that are coming out to really make some money, and they obviously fucked that up.
Yeah.
And then December, those are the two.
Oh,
They
okay.
both had the same amount. They were both big for us, which I guess makes sense.
Well,
December is like a year that you dump shit, isn't it? I don't
yes
know.
and no, but I think the other issue with that is we're looking for the movies that somebody was trying really hard to make happen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then just like "Wop, wop, wop,"
Yeah.
because
Swing and a miss,
they
buddy.
have to throw them out in June or December to try to make that
Yeah.
money. They're not going to like
Yeah.
bury them in August because they've invested too much probably, or they're
Yeah.
try
Big
hard movies.
budgets. Yeah. Try hard. I like that. That's a good
Try hard.
phrase. Tryhards. And then the last chart that we'll look at is
Yeah.
the genre chart.
Ooh,
I just
genre.
wanted to see like where our tastes, not our taste, almost the anti-taste, but the movies that we seem to think are, hit the worst are action, of course, which I feel like a lot of that has been recent. I feel like we've really been hitting the action movies hard at the end of the year here. And then fantasy, which is, one of my favorite genres is
Huh.
up there. So fantasy, sci-fi are tied, and then action is like our top thing. Our
Well,
least viewed genre, Western.
they don't make westerns anymore.
I don't even know which one that was. I should have looked, but
I mean, I tried to watch that The Way of the Dog. Oh, I had to turn that movie
Way of
off.
the Dog. What was that? Okay.
This is
Well,
Jane
maybe we should do it.
Campion with Doctor Strange and Jesse Plemons. It's on TV. I
Oh,
mean,
right.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
something
yeah.
Way of the Dog, the something of the dog. Oh, talk about a movie that's like realish people, and you're just like, I don't want to live with these people
I don't
anymore.
care. Right, like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear from you. Don't call me.
I don't want to talk about this movie. Well, I mean, a little bit. I want to talk about
I
this
mean, a
movie for
little, just a
about two
little.
minutes, and
And
then
now we're
never
done.
think about it again. And I keep on getting like the
Put it to
ads
bed.
on Instagram or whatever. I'm like,
Oh,
please
boy.
stop giving me the ads for this
Well, they
movie.
know you didn't finish it, Dan. They're like, "Hey, come on back. We need the runtime views." And then just a couple of single stats that I was going to point out. Our
Sure.
longest episode was 1 hour and 48 minutes.
I
Dan,
bet you that was whatchamacallit. It was Wachowski brothers. Uh,
no, it was Tenet because it's
oh,
so confusing.
what? We complained about Tenet for an hour and 48 minutes.
Yep, almost a full
I
2
would not
hours.
have thought that was possible because the more I think about Tenet, the less I realize is there. And so it's like it just
Well,
like
sure.
it's
Yeah.
like it's gonna be like this big and this just be gone.
Yeah, nope. We talked about it for a while. It turns out.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the Wachowski brothers whatchamacallit movie, the different time
Oh,
periods one.
the roller skate. Oh,
Because that was a
gotcha.
longer one. Because that was an interesting movie that needed a lot of interesting analyzation in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
still. I should have put that in. Dan's least favorite episode was that one. That's another stat.
that was my least favorite episode.
You complained about it for the whole week. You're like, "Oh, it was. We didn't have anything funny. It was just a real conversation."
We didn't have anything
That was
funny.
you.
I don't know if we had
That
anything
was.
funny to say today. Did we say anything funny today?
I think people will enjoy the banter. I don't know if we
Banter.
said any jokes, but we definitely argued a little. And then the last thing that I will say is that our average runtime is an hour and 19 minutes, Dan.
What was
So
our shortest episode?
I didn't do shortest episode because I didn't think it mattered.
Doesn't matter. We're not trying to do that. We shouldn't even
That's
look
right.
at that because
That's right.
that
We're
was
only
wrong.
we're trying to pad the runtime, stretch them out, get all that ad money.
We get paid by the word.
That's right.
Now, Tony, do you have something good that you like this week that you want to talk about?
I did, and I'm going to change it now because you've sparked some things in me, and I want everyone to go check out Bent. You can get it on like iTunes or Vudu or whatever. It's 6 episodes. In my opinion, it was a perfect sitcom. It was great. Amanda Peet, Jeffrey Tambor. So good. David Walton, obviously my favorite guy in the world. So just go check that out and then write in the comments whether we should try to revive it. Hashtag more Bent.
Bent back.
Yeah. Oh, Bent back. I like that.
Mine is Station 11 on HBO.
Oh,
Holy shit. God damn it.
really?
Oh my
Okay.
God. Post-apocalyptic sort of thing.
Sure.
27 storylines all weaved together, incredible characters.
It's a lot of storylines.
Based on a book.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm going to say mine too after
You
you're
can
done.
say yours after I'm done.
Yeah.
like they dropped like 3 episodes. I had to watch all 3 because it's so
Okay.
freaking good. The acting is so good. The writing is so good. But emotional stuff. Emotional stuff.
Oh, that's right. You said this was going to be emotional. Can I handle it, Dan?
I don't know. But
I'm very fragile.
it's about like how we need art.
Well, we do.
And
Okay.
that's the whole premise of the thing is that we need art, and even if things go very, very south, we still need art. And it's a really
Okay.
nice premise packed in a lot of stuff.
Station 11, is that what you
Station
said?
11.
Okay. All right. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I'll just real quickly say what my real one was going to be.
What's your real
It's
one?
The Expanse.
Oh,
If anyone has seen that show, I am now reading the book series that it was based on, and both are great. But read the books; it's fantastic. I'm like halfway through the first book. It's super great. I'm obsessed.
now
So
did you
check that
watch the
out.
whole TV show?
I watched. So what I did is I watched like part of the first season. And then I was like, oh, no, I really like this. I should go read the books. And so now I'm going to read the books and then go back and finish the show.
Watch the thing.
Because I
Yeah,
like
remember.
I like to read the books before I see things,
I think I started one episode of it and I thought it was really interesting. I think I just picked a
Yeah,
random season episode, like maybe season
sure.
5 or something. I was like, oh, I'll just throw one on. I thought it was really interesting,
Yeah.
and I just never got back to it because it's a lot. I mean, there's 6 or 7
It is.
seasons.
It's a ton. And there's like 8 or 9 books or something like that. So like
Yeah.
it's a lot of content, but I'm committed now. I'm in.
Well, maybe after Station 11, maybe I'll take a trip to the Expanse.
Yeah, go on back.
So for next week, we're going to be watching Assassin's Creed, which was Tony's pick.
Yeah, Fassbender.
And then I guess after that show, then I'll pick something. So I don't have to pick something right now.
Yeah, you
Woohoo!
got time. You got a whole week to think, man.
Off the clock. So, yeah, good movies. Interesting peek into Tony's psyche, into my psyche.
That's which is why I picked those movies. I feel like those are really like, really inform who I am as a person, and people don't always agree with that. Not that it's informed, but like people generally don't have my taste and sensibilities. That's what
thankfully.
I found. Wow, Dan. F you.
Yes. Good movies. Not really Tony's thing.
Whatever. Blah, blah. Idiots. Bunch of idiots trying to make art. Whatever.
Citizen Kane. Stick your Citizen Kane. So boring.
Are you gonna tell me Citizen Kane isn't boring? You can't tell me that with a straight face.
I love that movie.
You looked away. You broke eye contact. No one believes you.
I love that movie. So if you like what you see, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that like button. We'll probably do this again next year because this was fun. I think it was interesting, and we'll pick some more movies and
strap in for a whole nother year of great times with us, you guys.
Because we're not
bicker, we'll yell.
We're not running out of bad movies.
It's not a thing.
2016, 2020. Who knows what they're going to make in 2021?
I think I'm only going to pick movies from 2016. I'm going to go through the whole catalog of films of that year.
All 2016, we're going to unpack an entire year of movies, the good, the bad, and mostly the bad.
Yes, sir.
So we'll probably see you next time on the Hate Watching with Dan and Tony.
That's right. Happy New Year. Goodbye, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Hey, watching!